Ladies and gentlemen, Vladimir Putin and Russia just took control of a sizable portion of Ukraine, eastern Ukraine. Two breakaway provinces or regions, Donetsk and Luhansk, that they're calling breakaway regions, and essentially Putin has outsmarted the entire West, NATO, and definitely mashed potato brains, Biden and his administration. What did I tell you on this channel? I said it's only going to get worse. I said that our beloved president, mashed potato brains, voted alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld, so he didn't have the knowledge of world history or national security to oppose Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. He voted alongside them, which is why the Lincoln Project loves the Democratic Party. He presided over the destruction of Libya in a failed NATO intervention. He was linked to Ukraine in more than one way, not just because of his son's laptop. And he's just simply never had... And then, of course, he used the T-ban as security outside of the only airport he left open. Those 13 Americans should be alive today. Those over 100 Afghans should be alive today when Biden completely and utterly botched the Doha Agreement that Trump negotiated. Trump negotiated the Doha Agreement, which called for a May 1st, 2021 withdrawal. May 1st, 2021, not in August. Not when Blinken and Sullivan and mashed potato brains decided we should withdraw. Eventually. And now we found out that they really had no plan at all. And people were dropping from airplanes, and the whole world saw what was taking place. It was one of the most horrific diplomatic and military defeats in American history, not because it was destined for defeat, but because mashed potato brains was at the helm. And I said, it's only going to get worse, unfortunately. I want our country to prosper. But after Democrats and media pushed to end economic activity 2 years ago, and still obsessed over what they said would be alleviated by ending economic activity, we now have skyrocketing inflation. Market is going to absolutely collapse, and I predicted that, and I was right in the Federalist in October. Read the article below in the pinned comment. Be here today at around 7 p.m. Pacific for the live stream, 6:30, 7 p.m. Pacific. I told everybody that this would happen. Now we're on our way to a nuclear confrontation. We already had minor confrontations with the Russian Navy chasing away our nuclear sub and aircraft capable of ending the world, flying and patrolling around Eastern Europe and Belarus. Hit subscribe to this channel right this second. Eastern Ukraine has been a large portion of Eastern Ukraine. The Donetsk and Luhansk regions have been essentially taken over by irregular forces or separatist groups working on behalf of Putin and Russia. And this is exactly what Democrats and media said wouldn't have happened. And I told you from the very beginning in this channel, or 2016, I said Russia would rather have Democrats, not Trump. Putin would rather have Biden or Clinton or anyone who reveres these sacred cows like Ukraine joining NATO. Trump doesn't care. That's why he was able to negotiate the Doha Agreement, the Abraham Accords, and that's why Trump was able to be the first president to step foot in North Korea. He doesn't care about sacred cows. And one of the sacred cows in international relations is, we're going to pretend that Ukraine can join NATO while at the same time preventing them from joining NATO and not allowing them in. And that provoked, NATO and Biden knew that would provoke Russia into either an invasion or something of this nature. And he can still have a full-scale invasion eventually. But he's just taken over the eastern part of Ukraine, or a sizable portion of the eastern regions within Ukraine, under Biden's watch. And, of course, Mashed Potato Brains was completely asleep at the wheel, as always. And Democrats said, oh, Putin wanted Trump, and oh my God, and they interfered, and their aggression, and all. Democrats have gotten this Pavlovian response because they literally fabricated a myth. You have to be a complete imbecile to believe that Russia wanted Trump simply because James Clapper and Brennan told you so, or a Senate panel confirmed an assessment, an opinion. You cannot confirm an opinion. This is basic logic. The intelligence community did not guarantee, nor did it provide any evidence showing that Russia wanted Trump, other than Facebook ads that nobody saw. Not one person was influenced. I would love for these 1 million to 4 million sub YouTube channels to find one person influenced by a Facebook ad or a Twitter bot. Usually on social media, when you encounter an opposing viewpoint, you dig in. You dig your heels in even more, and you don't change your viewpoint. So, the DNC allegedly, the DNC being hacked was not a Russian plot, because the intelligence officials who were indicted on Company 1's evidence, and Company 1 was the only entity to look at DNC servers. And so, the notion, the absurd idea that you'd have to be a complete buffoon and imbecile to believe was that Russia wanted everyone to know that the DNC was cheating Bernie Sanders. And that's why they wanted Trump. But we know now the whole thing was what we always knew, but the whole thing's absurd. Democrats are corrupt. The epicenter of corruption in American politics is the Democratic Party. 20 years ago, it was the Republican Party with Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. I'm not an ideologue. Although some people might say, oh, you're an ideologue. No, I'm not. If it was Tulsi Gabbard versus Marco Rubio, I'd vote for Tulsi Gabbard. If it's Trump versus Clinton or Biden, of course I'm voting Trump. I'm voting for anyone the Lincoln Project opposes. Because I don't want never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. And I don't want a failed foreign policy that affects the whole planet and the United States of America. And I don't want an end to the United States economy, which is what Democrats and media pushed for. And now we're seeing the repercussions. All you heard the past 2-3 weeks was Russia's about to invade the 16th. They're about to invade. Now they've already made the decision. It's right. The Bay of Pigs, the Gulf of Tonkin, WMD, Facebook ads. Now it's Russia's about to invade. When has the intelligence community, when has our revered unintelligent community, when have they been right about something grandiose? Tell me when. I want to know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they've been right a lot. I don't know. I just look at history and they've been wrong more often than they've been right. And especially now, they were completely outsmarted. All Putin had to do was park hundreds of close to 200,000 soldiers. Now he's sending troops to the regions that separatists have basically taken over. So Putin orders troops to 2 Ukraine regions after declaring their independence. So now he has a base of operations in eastern Ukraine. This is after, under President Obama's watch, he took over Crimea. So, I mean, this is happening under President Obama. It's now happening under Mashed Potato Brains. And you tell me, morally superior liberal Democrats, wonderful people, you tell me why this didn't happen under Trump. I thought Trump was a Putin puppet. The people who believe lies. See, Trump told the truth far more than Democrats and media. If you want to say, oh, he lied so much, yeah, he engages in hyperbole. He makes hyperbolic statements, but oftentimes they're like, this is the best economy ever, and it's one of the best, economies in U.S. history. We had, under Trump, an amazing economy. We had like less than 2% inflation in 2019, and it's now well over 7.5%. According to Peter Schiff, it's like 15%. But again, the Donetsk and Luhansk regions have been taken over, essentially, completely. They're now part of Russia. Putin has, essentially, they're now part of Russia. Russia sending troops. Putin orders troops to 2 Ukraine regions after declaring their independence. Do you think he cares that NATO sent all this armament and soldiers and weaponry to Eastern Europe? You think he cares about Biden's sanctions? You think he cares about European Union sanctions or whatever? He doesn't care at all. He supplies Europe and even the U.S. with oil and gas, but he supplies Europe with 30 to 40% of its oil and gas. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline, look it up. Nothing's going to happen to these pipelines, which many of which go through Ukraine. So nothing's going to happen to them because at the end of the day, Europe does not want to freeze in the winter, and they don't want their economies to grind to a halt because they already grinded their economies to a halt just like we did. Because morally superior liberals, who were wonderful people, who were highly educated, tanked their economies and still obsessed over you know what, and they're still obsessed over, and they'll never stop obsessing. And so this is happening under the watch of Democrats. And I thought, you see, look, you cannot say, and no offense to any Buffalo Bill fans, and I think that, you know what, the Buffalo Bills had amazing teams in the 90s. Bruce Smith, Jim Kelly, amazing teams, okay? Cornelius Bennett, amazing teams. Great players, Hall of Fame players. They were one of the great teams in NFL history. But you can't say that they were better than the Steelers. Can't say they were better than the Cowboys. They lost to the Cowboys. You can't say that they were better than the Patriots. Because in sports, if you lose, you see the score is there forever. The people who win get the trophy. And you can't spin a loss into a victory. Democrats are amazing at spinning catastrophic, horrific losses into victories. Now you get people saying, well, Biden's doing a fantastic job. It's a catastrophe. It's an absolute catastrophe. And we haven't even seen the economic consequences yet. Hit subscribe to this channel. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. I'll have a very special segment today on it. That's below in the pinned comment. Hit subscribe to this channel, people, right now. And thank you so very much for watching. I'll be back today. Watch my live stream. It'll be about around 5 p.m. Pacific. So definitely go ahead and be here for the live stream. Thanks, everybody. Things are only going to get worse, unfortunately. Focus on your life, your happiness, your health, success, love, joy, laughter. Your life should be on an upward trajectory. This country is in a tailspin because morally superior liberals literally they can't win. They can't address any major issue from the economy to foreign policy. We're entering a recession as Russia is taking over eastern Ukraine. Please tell me how that's a victory in any way for the United States of America. God bless the people of Ukraine. And it's terrible that Biden put Ukraine in that situation because Biden and Democrats and NATO, they did. Trump would have just said, hey, look, Putin, let's negotiate. You don't want Ukraine and NATO. Okay, so let's sign a deal where we promise not to push Ukraine into NATO, but you leave eastern Ukraine alone. Something along those lines. And Trump would have negotiated it. But you know what? At least Trump isn't tweeting. That's the main thing. Stock market crash is imminent. We're already seeing it in slow motion. We're probably going to get into a nuclear confrontation with Russia, a more serious one than we've had. And all of these bad things are taking place, but at the end of the day, all Democrats care about is that Trump isn't tweeting. So at least Trump isn't tweeting. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Be here on this channel for the live stream coming up. Thank you.